Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this week's episode of Video Ferox, where we disprove the notion that Roger Corman never made a movie that lost money. Because the thing we're watching tonight fucking face-planted. That's right, we're going to be taking a look at Frankenstein Unbound, his last directorial movie, at least as far as this recording. So, settle back, grab some popcorn, and let's get busy with it.
30 years ago, Roger Corman began to explore the dark side of the American psyche. With movies like The Undead, The Pit and the Pendulum, and the original Little Shop of Horrors. Now, he feels the world is ready for the greatest horror story ever told, as it's never been told before. Frankenstein Unbound, starring John Hurt, Raul Julia, and Bridget Fonda, directed by Roger Corman.
And that was the trailer to Frankenstein Unbound, from Roger Corman, 1990, I believe this was, a couple of years before Street Fighter, so Raul Julia was still alive. It's got, like I said, Raul Julia in this, and it's got John Hurt in it. The two big stars of the movie that you're going to recognize right out of the gate.
Well, you have Bridget Fonda.
Oh, right, she did have a part in this. She's Mary Shelley,
she's Mary Shelley.
So, Ian, did you like Frankenstein Unbound?
I like the movie, but then at the same time, I'm like, I like this movie?
I think you're in the same boat that I am, that I like this movie, but it's got an asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
The movie is not without flaws. The special effects are a little, well, they're very much a product of 1990 and low-budget Roger Corman 1990, so that's a thing. The dialogue is a little clunky and cheesy. The acting's good, but it doesn't quite, it just has this layer of cheese to it.
Well, the acting I think is good throughout, with one minor problem.
All right. We're kind of lukewarm cool on this. I think it's goofy fun. You think it's kind of goofy fun, but I would much rather go watch The Intruder or The Secret Invasion or, hell, any of the other Roger Corman movies on my shelf.
Yes.
All right, let's just move on to the spoilers because I want to talk about the acting real fast here. All right, spoilers ahoy.
I work for Kaiser Soze. Convince me.
The movie starts in 2033. So a couple of years from the now, and a whole fuckload of years from when the movie was actually made. And John Hurt is playing this, he's working for the government, and he's trying to design this weapon that will absolutely just atomize the enemy. Because, you know, we have always been at war with Oceania, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when he uses his weapon, and we open with him zapping like a little Statue of Liberty, and it sends it back into time somewhere. It disperses it into the time-space continuum. And the problem with his experiments is that it's also causing a hole in the fabric of space and time. Yeah. And we're not talking just little, bits of bobs floating in and out. We're talking a giant sky vagina.
The whole thing with the space-time continuum, where he's sending something off in time, was unintentional.
He just wanted to atomize something.
He wanted to develop an energy weapon that atomized objects. Well, he inadvertently made it a freaking time travel machine. Shoot the object, it goes back in time.
He is amazingly blasé about this discovery, which, if we're being fair, would absolutely rock the scientific community. Oh my God, you invented time travel. No, I just invented something that accidentally does time travel. He is absolutely just fucking chill with this.
Yeah.
And so his assistant comes up to him and says, hey man, we've got these holes that are like appearing. We probably should dial this back a little bit. And he says, okay, give me the prototype. I'll take the prototype home and I'll work out the details at home. And so he throws it into his absolutely dead fucking sexy space car.
It's an Italian designed car called the Aztec, I think.
Yeah,
And
it's like a prototype.
It's a concept car. It's a let's make a car that we would see in the future. So they didn't have to have anything built. They just went to a European automaker and went, do you have any future concept cars? Yeah, we've got this one. Yeah, can we use it? Sure, go ahead.
And the car has AI in it, and so the car is a little sassy occasionally when, John Hurt says, hey, I need you to start working on some space-time formula. And she's like, that's going to take forever, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he gets back to his home, and it's futuristic space home. And there are these kids doing this funeral for a bicycle.
The kid had gotten a brand new bicycle. I don't need this one anymore. Let's bury it.
This is just a quick sample of how fucking weird this movie is.
Yeah.
Because why are you doing this? Why? And then the giant space Viking flies out of the space vagina and goes instantly on a murderous rampage.
Yeah.
John Hurt manages to get the kids into the house, and all of a sudden he's sucked up into the space-time vagina.
With his car.
With his future space car.
Up to this point, John Hurt's character has a certain aloofness. What I would say is, it's not an indifference. It's just, I inadvertently did something. Let me work on it. We need to fix it. I mean, he acknowledges it's a problem. He wants to fix it. Well, the time travel thing happens. He finds himself back in time. He doesn't know where.
And he is absolutely super fucking chill, winding up being transported back to the early 1800s. He doesn't know what time it is, but he asks his car, hey, could you find me some television signals? Can you find me some satellites? Can you find me a database that you can hook up to that I can find out what the hell's going on? And the car is like, no, I can't see any of this stuff. None of this stuff exists. What the hell are you talking about?
The look on his face. Whatever.
So he parks the car and goes walking into town. And he's dressed in his, admittedly 1990s future clothes.
Yeah.
And he's walking around town, and he's like, nobody's looking at him, nobody's giving him any shit.
Somebody does give him that. It's a silent. The person doesn't really say anything. It's just, interacts, talks, and then there's this moment, and it's like head to toe. What? The expression is just, he's dressed weird. Oh well, walk off.
Yeah, he pulls out his wallet and tries to hand a credit card to the shopkeeper to get some food, and he's like, oh, that's not going to work. And the shopkeeper is just like, doesn't even blink at this. What the hell are you doing?
These guys are taking things in stride just a little too easily.
And so he gets his meal, and he goes over to the only seat that's open in the whole place, and it's some guy behind a newspaper reading the newspaper, and he says, hey, do you mind if I sit down? And the guy behind the newspaper is like, I can't stop you. And he sits down, and boom, it's Raul fucking Julia.
Yep.
Dr. Frankenstein.
And right out of the gate, he's chewing the scenery.
And here's the thing I wanted to talk about from the intro, in that I thought that Raul Julia didn't go far enough. He doesn't go full on M. Bison, and the gods came down from heaven and smote you. He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, when you think of Frankenstein, when you think of Clive Revel and back in the 1931 version, and the big scene, the It's Alive scene, and Clive Revel absolutely just fucking goes for it. And when we get a comparable scene with the Bride of Frankenstein here, because it's kind of this mishmash, we kind of pick up halfway through the story.
Yeah.
And when he creates life, he's kind of like, oh, that's a thing.
You're right. I agree with you. He needed to really be, but none of the other characters are their intensity is low. Their energy is just blasé, walking through like, whatever.
Okay, now I have no actual data to back this up, but I suspect that this was a Roger Corman gun for hire movie. This wasn't a personal investment like his other stuff that we've looked at this month. It didn't have Gene doing the producing. I think it was just a, hey, we've got a script, we've got a source, because this was based on a book.
Yeah.
And we've got this script that we would like you to shoot. Could you please come back in 6 weeks with, 4 reels for us?
Yeah.
So I think that his personal investment, because we know he can do a lot better with, like, hell, the Hicks from The Intruder, the people with zero acting experience gave much better performances than stuff we got here.
Yes.
So I think this was a lot of, okay, I'm just doing it for the paycheck.
And that's one of the things where I'm beginning to wonder about John Hurt. Because there are John Hurt movies where he chewed the scenery. He was fully invested, the intensity's there, the volume, everything, energy. But in this movie, he's just like, was that good? Okay.
I thought it was fascinating that as a time traveler, you wouldn't generally think, oh my God, causality, I don't want to step on a butterfly and cause the extinction of humanity or that sort of thing. And you would think that John Hurt, as a scientist, would be like, okay, I'm a little concerned about my impact on the past.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck it, I'm going to drive my space car around town. Hey, Dr. Frankenstein, you want to come take a look at my really sexy space car with a computer? And, of course, Frankenstein's like, that's nice. Again, Raul Julia is fucking underplaying it. He should be like, what the fuck is this great? He's like, no. He's like, yeah, that's a car. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. And Mary Shelley's the same thing.
He goes and prints out a copy of Frankenstein and hands it to her, and she's like, my name's... Wow, look at that.
Wow. Oh, look, my last name. Oh, I get married. Huh, okay.
Oh, and by the way, Mary Shelley's in this fucking thing too, because apparently this is a half of the book and half autobiography? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Dr. Frankenstein sees the book. And he's almost like, oh, okay.
I did like the design of the monster, though. The bits where, okay, instead of the bolts on the neck, they've got the electrodes up in like his skull. The eyes, I thought the contact for the eyes where he had, okay, what the fuck is Frankenstein doing? You take 4 different eyes and stitch them together so you have one eye. So the dude had to blow through 8 eyes to get the stitch, but the effect looks cool.
Yeah, I think that was specifically for the purposes of giving the emphasis of this is a walking, talking person, but he is made up of parts from multiple bodies. And one of the ways to stylistically, visually give that is the iris of his eye is 3 different, what? How many colors?
Or Roger just wanted some stuff for the poster, because you know that a showman like Roger Corman is always thinking 3 steps ahead. How can we market this thing? Wait a minute, why don't we just put a freaky eye on the cover? Okay, I got to put a freaky eye in the movie.
And everyone has seen that poster. May not have never seen the movie. They've seen the poster.
So the movie kind of throws you into the deep end and assumes that you're at least passingly familiar with the Frankenstein story. Like I said, it's only, we pick up halfway through the book. So we don't get the monster's creation. We don't get the It's Alive scene with the first monster. And then it kind of goes off the rails when he starts interacting with Mary Shelley.
The monster interacts with Mary Shelley. The monster is interacting with our doctor from the future, interacting with his own creator. We have the doctor's love interest, who becomes the bride of Frankenstein. Because, well,
this movie just has weird connective tissue, I guess. It doesn't really... Well, like, okay, so we have established that the superstitious peasants are, in fact, really kind of scared of witchcraft because they have this trial scene of this girl who is being blamed for Frankenstein's, the monsters, rampage in the countryside. So they go and they try her, they find her guilty, and they're going to go execute her, and then John Hurt comes riding into the rescue, and he doesn't come in on a space car, which, okay, I'm going to use my space car to get her and get the fuck out, if I'm going to do this. I'm not going to go get, like, a gun. I'm just going to come in with like an axe and like have 40 guys jump my ass when I say, don't kill this woman. And they're like, fuck you, we're going to kill this woman. And they take her and throw him into the lake because after they hang her. And like, okay, so he's got his space clothes, he's got his space car. Y'all seen his space car. Why aren't you busting him for witchcraft? Because that's actual legitimate witchcraft.
Well, there's the whole thing of is a large portion of the witchcraft nonsense that went on in Europe. It was targeting women, not men. Women doing odd things was more what was going on. We got to put a stop to that.
But again, I would expect that the extremely primitive peasants would in fact have a slightly stronger reaction to a, Italian car from, that's a prototype rolling through their countryside.
See, this is what I mean. You want to like the film, it's likable, and then you're like, what? See?
Yeah, oh God, my brain just shut off. I have no idea what to say. Yeah, no, this movie is frustratingly mediocre.
It's memorable, but at the same time, it's like how to talk about it.
So let's talk about the ending. Because if you think it's been batshit insane and undersold at simultaneously at the same time, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby, because this thing goes off the fucking rails.
Yes, it does.
And I have no idea what the fuck happened.
Well, John Hurt is still cognizant of the tear in the space-time continuum, and he's like, well, I'm going to have the car calculate blah, blah, blah.
Let's see if I can undo this.
Shoot laser beams at blah, and this will change everything. And realizes that he has to have an extraordinarily large amount of electricity to pull it off.
Funny that. So does Frankenstein, the bride of his bride, not the bride of Frankenstein, his bride, his woman, gets killed because the monster says, I want mate. And Frankenstein's of course like, no, I don't want to give you a mate. And he's like, well, fuck you. I kill your woman now. And so he goes and kills his woman.
Right.
And so Frankenstein grabs her, takes her back to the castle, and puts the electrodes in and does the preparation work and whatnot.
Right.
And tells the monster, it's like, hey, go get the really super smart guy with a space car, because the space car will be useful in what we're trying to do.
Right. And the culmination is simultaneous. So lightning is striking the tower with the lightning rod. The electricity from the lightning strikes are charging the capacitor in the car. And when the time comes, the car is set up on a timer. And we have Frankenstein feeding electricity one extra switch at a time and injecting the gal with this metallic fluid.
And that's when the laser in his trunk goes off and zaps everybody. And, of course, we've got the Frankenstein electrical storm going on, but we've also got the giant space vagina time storm causing trouble. And I fucking love the one line where, Frankenstein's freaking out because there's giant space vagina above him, and he's like, what is this? What is this? And John Hurt's like,
meet my monster.
Yep.
Fucking brilliant line.
Yeah. Kaboom! And
then suddenly we're in the future.
They're in the same space. The walls are crumbled down. The castle's in ruins.
And either climate change has really taken hold, or it's in the middle of winter because there's snow everywhere. There's a snowpocalypse.
Yeah. Frankenstein wakes up. They start to talk to one another. And then the girl wakes up. The bride.
And she does not take to this whole resurrection thing very well.
She's got a lot of, what the fuck? And then she realizes.
And meanwhile, Frankenstein has pulled a gun on John Hurt and said, okay, I want you to undo this, motherfucker, because this is way outside of the experiment. And so he's holding there with the gun, and he's like, man, I can't do that. I don't have my space car anymore. And that's when the bride of Frankenstein grabs the gun and pulls it onto her chest, and he fires because pulls the trigger instinctively, and kapow! Kills her stone dead.
He's got that moment of anguish. Oh my God, I killed her.
The monster goes fucking nuts.
You killed my mate! No, too
Well,
late.
it wasn't supposed to be your mate. And then, of course, the monster grabs Frankenstein and does like this suplex thing, kind of like Bane breaking Batman in half.
Yeah.
And just snap and throws him into the corner.
Yep, and storms off.
And then, as he's lying there dying, John Hurt goes over to Frankenstein and is like, dude, I'm sorry, this has gotten out of control. And Frankenstein's like, you must kill the monster and set things right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, we are in the middle of a snowpocalypse. I mean, and obviously civilization is out the window. So who the fuck is going to care? And John Hurt has not given a shit about anything up to this point. Why do you think he's suddenly going to take up arms and try and hunt down your monster? He's not going to do that. But he picks up arms and goes and hunts down the monster.
Yeah, he grabs a cloak, goes following the monster, who has found a trapdoor in the ground.
And I'm not sure if this is after when John Hurt left 2023 or 33 or what, because he gets into this futuristic laboratory thing, and that's where we get all those little plasma balls that dated as much as the lava lamps in the 60s did.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the computers in this laboratory recognize him and says, oh, hello, Dr. Buchanan, welcome back home.
Yeah.
What?
It's in the future, because it does do the wide shot horizon, and there's this odd city that doesn't look anything like normal.
Yeah, futuristic space city with like spires and shit. And so John Hurt is wandering around his laboratory trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He's loading the gun and he's hunting the Frankenstein monster. And that's when the Frankenstein monster just goes full on Kool-Aid Man and busts through the wall and says, haha, I'm going to fucking kill you now.
Yep.
Now, okay, why is the monster pissed at him? Why don't they just realize, look, I don't have to kill you because we're the only people on the planet. And why does the monster, this is the point where he's got his intelligence upgrade, because he's all of a sudden like articulate and like speaks well.
Yep.
And like uses big dollar words.
Yep.
Why are you fighting? Just stop, don't fight.
Yeah, there's no reasoning for it. Hurt's character, Buchanan, has set up the computer to fire these lasers. Because the monster now walks into it, the lasers turn on, and basically it looks like he's being cooked.
Yeah, they just basically melt Frankenstein.
He basically gets lasered to death, falls to the floor, he's smoldering wreckage, and then you hear voice only out of the ether with this ghostly bodied voice. It's the creature, and he says,
You think you have killed me, but I am with you forever. I am unbound.
What? Where the fuck does this come from?
and the end.
And that's the end of the movie.
That's like, Corman, you fucker.
I wonder how much of this was gun for hire and kind of baked into the original script that he couldn't change or didn't want to change or just kind of didn't give a fuck because it's not his.
The screenplay has another screenwriter credit on it. It's like FX Sweeney or something like that. But Corman has his name on it, and I would understand that because whenever Corman gets his hands on something, he changes it, he tweaks it because he wants to do, he has his own ideas.
Apparently, they also wanted to do a Dracula Unbound. And they went to Corman and said, hey man, you know, we've got this other novel that the guy adapted. You want to do it? And Corman's like, nah man, I'm good.
Yeah.
And the project never got off the ground. I kind of want to see that movie.
That's the reason why I say this movie is, it's like, I like it, but what the fuck?
It is a very frustrating movie. It's definitely one to watch for, just the experience, the weirdness, and if you're a Roger Corman completist, go for it.
Or if you're somebody who likes to see all the different iterations of the story of Frankenstein.
I don't think my time was wasted, but this is not something I'm going to seek out for pleasure or fun.
I can remember there being a moment where I had an opportunity to watch it, and I was still in that mindset of I don't like watching movies like this.
Although the thing is, we don't get any boobies, even though there's plenty of ample opportunity for Mary Shelley to show off the goods. And we don't really get a lot of violence. There's that one scene where the Frankenstein's monster punches the gendarme in the chest and like rips out his heart, but it's not really super graphic, particularly for a Roger Corman movie.
It's graphic enough that you like, ow.
If Evil Speak is a 1 and Cannibal Holocaust is a 10, I would put this movie at like a 3.
It's got enough there for you to kick over your imagination going, but not enough to make you go, oh, goo, gore, goo. No, your imagination's doing the work.
It's not the movie that I would expect from a man who went to the director of Humanoids from the Deep and said, man, we got to shoot some more gore. We got to put more gore and more titties in this movie.
Yeah. This movie had the potential to be like Life Force.
Life Force is a movie that absolutely sustains the crazy, though, and keeps it going. So even if you're bored by the plot, why am I reviewing fucking Life Force?
But Corman dropped the ball.
This movie is the equivalent of cotton candy, where it's colorful, it's flavorful, you eat it, and it instantly evaporates, and you forget about it.
Good way of putting it. I like that.
All right, I guess that's our wrap then. We'll catch you next week.
If you like pizza made the real Italian way with bubbly cheese, tangy seasonings, pure ingredients, you'll say our pizza is the mosta. Try some now at the Refreshment Center.
Well, thank you for suffering through me and Ian trying to figure out what the hell to say about Frankenstein Unbound. All right, moving on. Next month, brand new theme. It's the 50th anniversary of Bruce Lee's death. So here on Video Ferox, we're going to be milking the dragon. So come back and join us for a whole bunch of Bruce-ploitation flicks. Yay, go us. In the meantime, I want you to drop an email. thevideonastyproject@gmail.com is the address. And until next week, which will give you plenty of time to practice with your nunchucks, I want you to stay evil.
Has this ever happened to you? Presenting the Clapper. Lets your appliances turn on and off just by clapping.
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off. The Clapper
Makes a great gift.